River Road, you got me running way back home. River Road, you got me running all night long. You got me singing some canal boat song. River Road, you got me running all night long.
Right, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Niner Nuts. I'm Dan, here with the whole crew, Eric and Mr. Jimmy B. How are we doing, gentlemen?
What up? Only a little over a week till Christmas.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's the only thing we have to look forward to.
Yeah. No.
Because it's not playoffs.
Yeah, no.
I mean, you're still in the hunt, technically.
No, we're not.
Yeah, you
No,
are.
no.
0.1% chance of making the
You and
playoffs.
the Cowboys,
right?
just
Yes.
hang in there.
If somehow LA and Seattle both disintegrate off the face of the earth, then we're still alive.
I just like how the Cowboys are still alive and they're sort of like fighting and staying in there, because that means Mike McCarthy will be back next year. So.
God, that's part of my notes for that game. That I'll get to when we get there. But yeah, no, I spearheaded. Let's just take the day off. We'll come back Monday because no more Thursday games, thank God. And maybe next year we'll luck out and not have one. But
at this rate,
yeah, for real, we'll be lucky to get three primetime games next year probably. But yeah, obviously we'll address our game, our loss, no doubt from the thumbnail that you saw. It didn't go well. There's a reason I titled this episode Curtain Call. But before we really break that down, we have to go through and talk about all the games that happened, except the two that are happening in about an hour because we tape on Monday and there's a doubleheader. So one less game to talk about than usual. But to kick things off, for any new people, we have a timer. We each get 45 seconds to talk about the games. And we'll go ahead and start it off with the Chiefs at the Browns. Another week, another game where the Chiefs just skirt by on luck and just barely being better than their opponent. I stand by barely better than the Browns. Jameis Winston has fully turned back into the turnover machine that he was in his glory days, quote unquote, with Tampa. And there was a somewhat bad injury to Patrick this week, at least. I'm a hypocrite because I said don't bash Deshaun too hard for his injury. But that said, remember the last time he had a bad ankle injury this late in the season? They still won Super Bowl 57. And with the way the Eagles look, are we about to get another Super Bowl 57 situation? I don't know. Looks like it.
So I think what a cool scenario would be is if the Chiefs actually ended up in the Super Bowl against the Eagles, and the Eagles somehow, bend that ankle a little bit, and Carson Wentz has to come in and play backup quarterback for the Chiefs against the Eagles. Like that would be like a Christmas story that we could all get behind, small town or big time city woman comes to the country in Kansas City, and that's the scenario that would be cool if they keep doing this. That's what's going to happen.
well, I mean, that was reported today that Mahomes has got a high ankle sprain, so we'll see how that goes. I mean, high ankle sprains really do hurt and limit your mobility quite a bit. They got a 2-game lead on the Bills, though, with 3 games to go. So, I mean, they really only need to kind of win one or have the Bills lose one here, and then they can just wrap things up and they could just sit Mahomes for the rest of the regular season anyways. So we'll see how the rest of the season shakes out for them. As far as the Browns go, good job, Browns, losing. Tank away.
Indeed. I completely agree. try to salvage whatever you can. Since Deshaun's still going to be your quarterback next year because of his $90 million guaranteed left on the contract, should say. Onward now to the Bengals and the Titans. Preface for the rest of this week, there was a lot of real friggin' stinkers in this lineup. It was kind of hard to pick someone had to win this award. But onward to the Bengals and the Titans. I don't know if you saw the statistics I sent you guys in our chat, but 10 total turnovers, over 20 penalties. I think it was 24. And 64 total points were still scored. This was the epitome of both of these team seasons in one game. The Titans barely holding on, but then padding the stats in garbage time. And then on the other side, it's the Bengals that have been having a pretty extraordinary offense, completely undermined by disciplinary brain farts and a god-awful defense. So don't let the score fool you. It was not as close as 37-27 would suggest. And yeah, this game wins by someone had to win it award.
Yeah, the Bengals, Joe Burrow's mistake to stay with the Bengals is enamoring because, this is it. This is what you get, Joe. You chose the Bengals, and the Bengals are just going to put everything on you and Jamar Chase and hope for the best and not contribute to the rest of the team. And so we're going to end up with this perpetual cycle where, the Bengals will look good but not win, and they're just going to end. Joe's going to ask for a Stafford move probably in the next 4 years. That's sort of what my prediction is. Like, he's just going to make them trade him somewhere. So.
Yeah, I mean, I'm fascinated by the fact that Burrow's putting up the numbers that he's putting up. I mean, he's having an absolute MVP season. It's just that his team totally sucks. Same thing with Chase. I mean, Chase is playing himself into a $40 million a year contract as a receiver. I mean, he's going to have a bigger contract than Jefferson at this point in time. I still don't think that the Bengals are actually going to pay him, but we'll see. But it's fascinating to me that those two are having such an amazing game. And Jimmy, you alluded to it, that this just harkens back to the old Detroit days of Stafford and Megatron when they would go and have their own individual seasons and be really, really good themselves, but then just the team couldn't get anywhere.
Absolutely. I've changed my tune since a couple weeks. I feel bad for the Bengals. And then the Titans, it's incredible. He may be a lame duck single-year coach. This guy sucks.
He's really bad, yeah.
Yeah. Coached with the Bengals, ironically. But on to the Commies and the Saints. I honestly kind of admire the level of pride the Saints have played with, especially in this game. There's no reason for them to fight as hard as they do, and yet here we are talking about a 20-19 loss that was decided by a failed 2-point conversion. Daniels, though, he got back to doing his thing at least. He found Scary Terry twice for touchdowns, and look at them. They're well poised to lock down that well-deserved wildcard spot. I don't think they're gonna do much with it. Maybe they'll squeak into the divisional round, but honestly, I don't have any other notes on this game other than just it's nice to see the Commanders get out of that little funk they were in.
Yeah, Commanders secured themselves a winning season for the first time since 1999. Yes, they won the division a couple of years ago, but we all remember what was it, the 6-9-1 Commanders, or what were they with the Washington football team then, or I don't even know.
Yeah, with Alex Smith in 2020.
Yeah, but this is their first winning season since 1999. So congratulations to the Commies. They were talking about who the Eagles would rather see in the playoffs, Tampa or the Commies. I would rather see the Commies. So yeah, hopefully they get to the second round so we can beat them.
Yeah, I mean, your point, Dan, was very valid. I mean, they've been playing really hard in New Orleans for this interim coach, and it's really interesting when you contrast how well they've played for their interim coach versus how the Bears have played for their interim coach. I mean, I think all credit goes to that guy. I don't know that he's going to land himself a job necessarily, but he's certainly doing a good job with what he's been given. And that was without Derek Carr in this game too, and they still gave the Commanders a chance for a win there. You know, I don't know. This Commanders team is intriguing and they're fun to watch. Could they beat the Rams or could they beat Tampa in the first round? I mean, possibly.
I want them to.
Yeah.
I will still reserve that they are not quite big boy table level yet, but it's not discounting at all what they've done. They really have laid a good foundation that could make them a scary team next year.
Their offense is solid. So, I mean, like, they can get into a shootout with about anybody.
Oh,
yeah.
I mean, if they played, that's what I'm saying. Like, they could beat Tampa or the Rams, right? Because they could get into a 42-38 game with either one of those teams and come out on the right side of it if they're the last team to have the ball.
Last time I checked, isn't Seattle in charge of the division in the NFC West?
not anymore. The loss last night, which we'll address, the loss last night gave it to the Rams.
So yeah, I mean, I think they could easily beat the Rams, and yeah, I mean, if they're the 5 seed and they win, and
Washington is currently the 7 seed.
Oh, they're the 7 seed.
Yes.
So they play
Philly. Would play us first.
Yeah.
They would play us first.
They would get waxed by you.
Yeah, you'll destroy them.
Yeah.
So
I mean, I wouldn't put it past them seeing them a third time, though. You know, familiarity breeds contempt, is what I heard today. So you never know. Like,
it's never a guarantee playing somebody 3 times.
Yeah,
especially a division game.
Yeah,
exactly. The onward, keeping this train moving. I have very few notes on this next game. It is the Ravens at the Giants. What else did we expect from this besides a Derrick Henry touchdown? Sorry, anybody that played him in fantasy playoffs this weekend and my ticket. The Ravens obliterated the walking corpse that we all call the New York Giants without any sort of pushback. I don't even need these last 20 seconds. It was a blowout. There was nothing, just the Ravens doing their thing and getting back on track after a little bit of a rocky little spell they went through there.
So, yeah, it's, now we have learned that Lamar Jackson can beat any NFC team he wants unless Saquon Barkley is playing for them. So once again, he shows his dominance over the majority of the NFC. So it's to be expected that the Ravens slash the Giants. It's no real big surprise, considering that they gave Saquon Barkley away and now they can't compete. And Baltimore's Baltimore, and Lamar's really good against the NFC. So it's, with the Pittsburgh loss, there, it's going to be a 2-man race for that division in the AFC North.
So one thing that I'll say is Malik Neighbors has turned out to be pretty good. He's putting up decent numbers as a rookie wide receiver on an absolutely a horrible Giants team that has Tim Doyle, or of all people, throwing the ball to him, and he still is putting up decent numbers. So that kid's a real star, and I look forward to seeing what he's going to do in the near future. So question to you guys, if the Ravens made the Super Bowl, which is a big if because they don't ever seem to be able to get over the hump, but if they made the Super Bowl, given Lamar's penchant for just destroying the NFC, and for the sake of the argument, Jimmy, unfortunately your Eagles don't make it, since Saquon is his kryptonite, does all your money go on Lamar to beat whoever the NFC team is?
All my money?
Your money.
All my money.
I mean, all that you would bet. I mean, not like your entire life savings, obviously, but like, are you confident enough that you would throw like a 50 spot on Lamar to beat whoever the NFC team is? His record is like 24-2 against the NFC or something ridiculous.
You know, the
If
thing
it's
about
not
it,
if it's not against the Eagles, then probably. I would be very baffled how the Lions managed to get there with all the injuries they got. But yeah, if it's not the Eagles, I'll do a 50.
I mean, I guess I could do 50, but I still think if the Lions get there, then they end up in a shootout. And it's just going to be one of those types of games with whoever ends up with the ball last in their hands is the one that's going to win. Like that's the only thing I could, with Detroit's defense not being able to stop anybody, it seems like.
Or the Ravens. The Ravens secondary is god awful.
So like that, you're talking about a passing jubilees, so to speak, if those two teams met, and like you can't count out Dan Campbell in a shootout. That's the only thing I think.
Okay, all right.
It would be
interesting.
It would be a fun Super Bowl to not have any secondary play. I'll just throw that out there. That would be awesome. One of those defense need not apply Super Bowls, like 50, like yours.
52, where there was like only 2 defensive plays like that.
Exactly.
There was
that's
an interception and a sack fumble, and that were the only 2 real defensive plays.
That's the exact Super Bowl I had in mind. Your Super Bowl was definitely a defense need not apply, except for the Brandon Graham strip sack.
Yeah, and the Patriots had an interception. So, and I think there was another time where the Eagles stopped them on 4th down or something like that and got a turnover at downs too. So, but yeah, there was barely any defense in that game. So,
okay, I was just curious what you guys would do.
Yeah, if it's not the it's not the Eagles, I would bet the Ravens. Anyway, onward to another of our probably, I think I got 5 more stinkers to go through with you guys. This one is the Cowboys at the Panthers. Leave it to the Cowboys to ruin all the fun that we were having buying into the Panthers, being the lovable losers, the sneaky underdogs, the ultimate trap opponent for the month of December. And now we get to deal with Jerry Jones clinging onto this win as a reason that they don't need to have a complete organizational and roster blow up this offseason. So, yay. Thanks, Panthers. Thanks for choking in the wrong week. I got nothing else. Another just take my time.
The Cowboys are going nowhere, and they can do this all they want at the end of the season. I think it's great for the NFC East that the Cowboys are like 6 and 8, and that they're still fighting, and that they're going to end up right outside of the playoffs. And Jerry Jones is going to be like, well, see, we don't need to get rid of Mike McCarthy. We don't need to do anything different, and that's just perfect for me. Like, just keep doing what you've been doing, Cowboys. Like, yeah, I don't care. If Carolina, I mean, they were due for a game like this, being as they fought so hard in so many other games. And so they were due a game like this. And yeah, but I think the Cowboys barely not making the playoffs is going to be good for the NFC East.
I'm still just more fascinated to see what the Panthers are going to end up doing with Bryce Young at the end of the season. I mean, they left him for dead like 2 weeks into the season and then went back to him because the red rifle is out of bullets. And then so, they brought him back. And since they brought him back, I mean, Bryce Young has looked like a completely different quarterback. I mean, he's playing decent. I mean, he didn't play great in this game, but he also didn't play poorly in this game either. So I'm fascinated with their quarterback situation, see if they're going to carry him on forward into the next season and try to build around him, or if they're going to still just try to maybe, take the goodwill that he's built up over here the last, whatever it is, 8 games, 9 games of this season, and then try and trade him off at the end of the season.
That is going to be really interesting. Like, since they actually have been somewhat competitive, like, are they just going to call it water under the bridge and just, I don't know. That is going to be really interesting to see.
Yeah.
Next is almost the funniest game of the week. It is the Jets and the Jaguars. This was, like I just said, so close to being the funniest, ironic, best game of the week, finger quotes. Mac Jones was so close to beating Aaron Rodgers and giving us the best memes we could have asked for this week. But alas, a complete collapse in the last 5 minutes of the fourth quarter ruined all that. And I know the Jets should have won this by a huge margin, so I'll take it as a win that the Jags actually made it harder than it should have been. But in the end, this was another just clunker in this just really bizarre clunker of a week in total when you look at all the games on the schedule.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what the Jaguars do with the first overall pick. Trent Baalke, I believe, is staying. Like, that's the news that we heard in Jacksonville. So
Why not? Why
so
not?
it's like they're going to be like, we have Trevor Lawrence. We're going to build around Trevor Lawrence. So I wouldn't be surprised if they traded that number 1 pick and got a slew of other picks to build around them, because that's how dumb they are, because they don't realize they need a new quarterback. So yeah, it'll be interesting the offseason that the Jags have with this Trevor Lawrence contract that they got into, and see where they go and what philosophy they buy into. So Jags, we'll see, man. I mean, the Jets, the Jets are horrible.
Well, I would personally just like to say a big screw you to Aaron Rodgers and Devontae Adams for deciding to have their big renaissance game this week and single-handedly eliminating me from the fantasy football playoffs in one of my leagues. So thank you very much for that. With your combined total output, you completely obliterated my team and cost me a playoff spot. So that really sucked. That's my biggest takeaway from this game. I mean, I don't know if maybe Rodgers was hurt all season long and they were downplaying it or something like that. He's actually looked good the last 2 weeks. Like, he's looked a lot more normal and a lot more like what we would have expected out of Aaron Rodgers. I don't know if he's going to force the Jets into a tough decision by playing well the last 6 games of the season when he's looked like complete crap the first 11 games. I'm not sure, but he's thrown for like 600 yards over the last 2 games and, multiple touchdowns and all that stuff. And the Jets have put up, 26 points last week, 32 this week.
Just in time for Christmas.
Yeah.
Yeah. And just in time to get people to watch that Netflix documentary about him. Onward now to actually not a terrible game, but definitely lacked some fireworks that I was hoping it had. But nonetheless, the Dolphins at the Texans. This was like most of the other Texans games we've seen throughout the season. It wasn't pretty. Definitely not going to win Bell the ball, but in the end, they got the job done. And the Dolphins completely took like 5 steps backwards after looking not too bad for the past month. Completely stymied by the D'Amico Ryans defense. Tua, especially with 4 total turnovers, 3 picks and a fumble, after having 0 for the last month and change or so. I don't know. Gives me a little bit of hope that we might be able to beat the Dolphins, but I don't know. Other than that, congrats on winning the AFC South, Texans.
I mean, so Miami being inconsistent, this is typical. Like from the Dolphins and coming out with a loss here after looking good, for a little bit there. And so
even in a hot dome, they lose in December.
Yeah, obviously. Like it doesn't matter where they play, they end up screwing it up somehow. So I mean, this is like it'll be interesting how they play these next 3 games and how close they come to, if they do end up close to coming in the playoffs, where Mike McDaniels will be at the end of the season, because this is another fallout at the end of the season for him. So we'll see.
Yeah, I was going to hit on that same thing. Well, first, let me say, easiest bet that I've made all season long was the Texans to win the AFC South. I don't know why I didn't put more money on it. That was so stupid on my part. So, but I at least hit that. So that was good. It's December and it's another Dolphins collapse. It's what we come to expect every year. McDaniels just got that extension, so I don't think that he's going to get fired at the end of this year. But boy, do I think that his seat starts off real toasty warm next season. That Dolphins team has got to make the playoffs and probably advance beyond the first round or something next season to save his job. Otherwise, he's going to be gone.
My exact sentiments, I feel like I've said the last 2 or 3 weeks in a row now. He will not get fired this offseason. Next season, though, I would not be surprised if this happens again. He's gone. 4 years in a row of completely crapping the bed in December and costing you a playoffs or getting knocked out in the wild card. Like, no, next year I think is going to be his last season if this happens again. I'll agree there.
Yeah, and they're not crawling their way to the playoffs. Everybody's got too many games ahead of them.
No,
Yeah.
oh no, they can kiss that goodbye. I don't care if it's 2% to our 0.1%. Like, no, they're not making it.
No.
All right, so next game was actually kind of good until the fourth quarter. It's the Colts at the Broncos. I actually had a little bit of hope for the Colts in this at halftime. I honestly did. I talked to I even called my mom on the phone and said, I don't know how Anthony is playing so good and so bad at the same time.
Because that's what he does.
but anyway, Anthony overall, now to the end of the game, Anthony did overall finally turn back into a horrible pumpkin. But Bo Nix didn't honestly look that much better either. Like, not even 150 yards and 3 picks. But yeah, it came down to the fourth quarter and the wheels just fell off for Indianapolis. And again, Bo Nix didn't look that great either for once, but Denver still is about to clinch a wild card spot. So
yeah, I just find it surprising that you called your mom about something that was hot and then went soft. So
we have a good relationship.
But anyway, yeah, the Colts, they proved why they're the Colts. And, one thing that GM can't do is find a quarterback. No matter where he goes, he can go to the Eagles, he can go to the Chargers, it doesn't matter where he goes to find a quarterback. He can't. And I don't know, he can draft other positions, but finding a quarterback for him has been his white whale that he just can't do.
So Anthony Richardson was 44% in this game. He's so bad. He's just so bad.
They were in it until the fourth quarter, though. That's what I can't wrap my head around.
Well, yeah, I mean, I don't know. I mean, he's not very good. And I don't think he's ever going to. I don't think that you can coach a guy up from 44% to like 65%, which is where an NFL quarterback needs to be. So they're in a world of hurt there. But thank you, Broncos, for beating the Colts. My under 8.5 Colts wins for the season stays alive. Unfortunately, the Colts have a lollipop schedule for the rest of the season, so I'm hoping that they continue to implode on themselves at least one more game.
I will only very briefly ask if you guys saw the highlight of the pick six that happened.
Yes!
Oh my God. It was Mitchell, I think was his name. Richardson threw it to him. Mitchell tried to flea flicker it back and just boop, Benito pick six.
So the problem with that whole play is the guy, who would you say caught it? Mitchell?
I think it was his name.
When Mitchell caught it, he did this with it. Like, he caught it and then he did this, and he looked at it, and then he got it ready, and then he threw it back. He took like 5 seconds to throw it back to Richardson, which gave the defense all sorts of time to get in there and cut it off. If he'd have just caught it and wung it back, it probably would have been okay. But instead, he caught it, got it together, got the laces, gripped it real good, looked at his target, and threw it back. And the defense was just like, oh, yeah, it's obviously a flea flicker. Okay, let's go get it. I mean, it was the stupidest thing ever. And then Jonathan Taylor, I mean, he's smart enough. He should know better. I don't know. I don't understand how on earth anybody drops the ball before they get into the end zone. That's the most befuddling thing I can think of that a player at any level would do.
Let's just give tribute to Deshaun Jackson where tribute to Deshaun Jackson does. We all know he was the first one to invent the spike before the end zone. And so he was just
the pre-touchdown spike.
He was channeling his inner Deshaun Jackson as he was crossing the goal line.
It was quite a it's quite the comedy of errors for the Colts. I'll
Yes,
put it that way.
please continue to bumblefuck your way into losses. At least one more, please.
That's what I was talking to my mom. I said Jonathan Taylor of all people. Like, yeah, if it wasn't the Colts season before, even Jonathan Taylor is trying to make sure that doesn't happen.
Yep.
Anyway, onward to this is the last true terrible game out of the rest of these we have left. The Patriots in the desert seeing the Cardinals. Again, I don't need 45 seconds because did anyone actually care about this game? Like, did you guys even watch the highlights for this game? Did anyone besides Patriots fans and Cardinals fans care about this game? What was the result? The Cardinals outclassed a complete bottom feeder, and that is basically like bragging that you're the best person on the JV squad. Cool. You're still not catching the Rams, and the Patriots are still a top 10 pick. Inconsequential. This game meant nothing.
I'm still waiting for the headline to say, Kyler Murray retires as NFL quarterback to be professional Call of Duty player. I guarantee, at one point that's going to be a headline because Call of Duty players don't get hit as much. They don't get trashed as much, and they still make a lot of money. So I just see one day him just being screw the Cardinals, screw all this. I'm gonna go play Call of Duty and make my money there and not get hit for a horrible franchise.
Kyler's Call of Duty Killers, man. That's his team name. He can sponsor him and everything. I mean, it's be fantastic. I don't know. I mean, the Cardinals seem like they have something there in the desert. I mean, they've got Connor, who's been pretty solid all season long. McBride has been really good. Harrison has been sort of off and on for his rookie year, but I figure he'll turn up and be a little bit better next season. Their defense is, but I mean, they have a couple of pieces there.
It's a poor man's Vic Fangio defense is what it is.
Yeah, I mean, it seems like if they could get some more pieces and parts and maybe better coaching, that the Cardinals could actually be something, but they're just like 2 steps away.
Yeah, they what was the Cliff Kingsbury joke that Mike McDaniels, he always completely craps the bed in the second half of the season. No offense to Patriots fans, that would have been pretty astounding if they lost at home to New England. So I take this win with very little woo, you beat a team that's probably going to get a top 5 pick. Woo.
Yeah.
Is, I don't know. The Cardinals aren't coming back. This last month just sealed their fate, just like it sealed ours. And now the Rams have the final death nail for the Seahawks here in 2 weeks. So maybe they will. You're right. Because unless Buddha leaves, then their defense is completely screwed. But on offense, James Conner, Kyler Murray, Harrison, McBride,
it's not a bad offense.
Their offense shouldn't be bad, and they haven't been bad. But I agree, a little bit of promise there, but just not quite enough. Onward to the Bucks at the Chargers. I feel like I said this last week, but just look at you, Baker. Just look at you, Cook. It took a half to get there because this game was incredibly close at halftime. But, when it clicked. Completely shut out the Chargers in the second half. And the Chargers went full charge, not just in the last drive this time. The whole second half, they went full Charger. Let a 40-burger get dropped on them. Baker Mayfield just went ham on them. And depending on what happens here in the next 3 hours with the Falcons, they could be one step closer to actually stealing the South from them. So I'm not saying they're going to get to the NFC Championship, but I'm very proud that he's having a great season.
Yeah, the Bucks are one of the teams that I fear that could beat the Eagles in the playoffs just because, the familiarity that they've had with the Eagles, I think they've won, including the playoffs, the last 3 out of 4 games against the Eagles. And this is as Eagles have had Jalen Hurts, Antonio Brown, Devontae Smith. I think they were injured for this year's game, but still, the Bucks are dangerous, and they can be really good when they want to be. and they get into the playoffs, if they could possibly make some noise and get somewhere. Todd Bowles is really good at shutting down Jalen Hurts. I know that for a fact. So, yeah, who knows what he's got.
Well, I mean, I think, Dan, you kind of hit on it a little bit. I mean, a hot Baker Mayfield is a hot-ass quarterback. And, I mean, he can beat just about anybody at that point in time. So, I mean, right now the Bucs are riding high and riding that wave. And, as long as Baker stays hot and stays jamming, they're going to keep going. So the only thing that you have to be concerned about as a Bucs fan is there's always the inevitable clunker of a game that Baker throws up there, and it's just, when is it going to come? And, if they can avoid that, they're going to be just fine.
Yeah, they have a couple bad, okay, come on, clock. They have a couple problems on defense, like their secondary's kind of leaky too, but again, like you hit.
Yeah, but it seems like everybody has a leaky secondary that's going to make the playoffs other than the Eagles.
Yeah. But no, I completely agree with you. If Baker can avoid a crippling Jameis Winston pick, which he manages to always throw at least one pick a game, it seemingly, he can shoot out with Josh. He can shoot out with anybody if he stays hot long enough into the second half.
Yeah.
So, no, my man crush, he won, and he's about to win the NFC South because I don't know what's happening with Kirk Cousins. I'm kind of mad we can't talk about him tonight because we're taping on Monday, but Jesus Christ. Again, 0 touchdowns to like 8 interceptions or 9 interceptions in the last month. So they're playing a cupcake team though, so maybe they'll get back on track. Anyway, we have to talk about the 3 actually really good games that happened this weekend now. The Bills at the Lions are up first. What do you guys make of this, that Jared Goff lost the game that he had 5 touchdowns in, but won the game where he threw 5 picks? Like, what is football?
Yeah.
But no, honestly, this game really came down to the Bills got off to a fast start, and they were smart enough to not let off the gas. And I tried as they might. The Lions almost came back with that onside kick, and damn it, Dan Campbell did not go down without a fight, but Josh Allen will not be denied his MVP award. And the only thing I'm left with after this game is, are we worried yet that the floor is finally going to fall out for the Lions with their injury problems?
Yeah, for a couple of weeks there, we were talking Saquon Barkley versus Josh Allen for MVP, and Barkley only ran for 65 yards yesterday, so Josh has pretty much supplanted himself as the MVP of the league. Honestly, like, I think he's gotten to the point where, if he like had a little tweak and had to sit out the rest of the year until the playoffs or something like that, he would still win the MVP, just because he's been a human highlight reel the whole damn season. And Barkley has sort of cooled off since his 255-yard game against the Rams. So, yeah, I think Josh Allen is MVP.
Allen is certainly the MVP at this point in time. I mean, he could have a collapse here. He would have to have just an epic collapse over these last 3 games to lose the MVP. I'm going to look to see who they play real quick. I mean, they play Patriots, Jets, Patriots. So he's going to run away with the MVP.
Answer that real quick.
Yeah, without question. So there's no chance anybody's catching him. Bills look great. I mean, they're the team that's knocked off the world beaters in each conference, right? They beat the Chiefs. They beat the Lions. The only team that they haven't played and had a chance to beat is the Eagles, and maybe that happens in the Super Bowl.
Yeah, we come on, clock. There we go. Dude, remember a mere 3 months ago we left them for dead because of free agency, and now look at them. And Josh Allen will probably be the MVP at this rate.
I will say this: if there's a Buffalo Philadelphia Super Bowl, New Orleans, you are not prepared.
No.
Not prepared.
The city will burn.
You are not prepared for something like that. Like, I don't care how many National Guardsmen you have. I don't care how many policemen you have. you are not prepared for a Bills-Eagles Super Bowl.
Hide your fine tables. Like, don't.
hide your women.
Yeah. Oh my god.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
It is going to be oh my god, that would be a fun, like New Orleans is already fun itself. You throw Buffalo fans in their first Super Bowl in 30 years down there. Oh, dude.
And like,
and then just general Eagles fans. Oh my god.
And like, it's in February, like it's in the second week of February, like close to like, I don't know when Ash Wednesday is right there, but that's right around like, Mardi Gras season too. Like that's
let me look up when Mardi Gras is.
Yeah.
Yes.
Look up when Ash Wednesday is. Look up Ash Wednesday because
I can't
Mardi Gras happens at Ash Wednesday.
I always thought it was in March for some reason.
It depends.
Oh, it's March 4th.
Oh, okay. So it won't be.
Oh, wait. Mardi Gras. Mardi Gras 2025 culminates on Fat Tuesday on March 4th, with festivities beginning on January 6th and intensifying in the 2 weeks leading up to this date. To fully experience the event, plan your visit between mid-February and March 4th. So that Super Bowl could like kick off the start of like Mardi Gras.
Oh my
dude.
God. That's like, what are we doing? What are we doing? Like,
that's epic.
There's not enough beads in the world.
Dude, there's not enough beads. There's not enough tables.
Enough beer.
There's not enough ketchup and mustard. Like there's just not New Orleans. Like Mardi Gras, Bills, Eagles. Like forget it. The city's gonna burn.
Yeah.
We said it last week when it was going to burn with a Steelers-Eagles Super Bowl. A Bills-Eagles Super Bowl, yeah, that would be just as epic.
Yeah, agreed.
But speaking of the Eagles, that is our next game. The Steelers at the Eagles, the battle for Pennsylvania, even though it's not really that big a rivalry for you guys.
Which is
it was quite a humbling loss for the Steelers, frankly. I was very surprised. It was not as competitive, especially in the second half. Like, James, you told me off mic that the Eagles had the ball literally like 25 minutes. That was insane. I was very surprised the Steelers just didn't have anything. And it's just a testament to how, frankly, good the Eagles are. You guys are getting hot at the right moment. And with that loss that the Lions had to the Bills, you're perfectly poised to jump and take the number 1 seed at the last second from them, especially, again, if those injuries catch up to the Lions.
Well, the thing for the Eagles to get the number 1 seed, they still have to win out, but they also need both Minnesota and Detroit to lose one more game in order for them to get the number 1 seed. So what I am hoping for is just that they clinch the number 2 seed by week 17, if that's possible, and get a bye week 18, and then go into the playoffs after a bye. Because the Eagles are starting to get a little beat up. I mean, if you guys watched the game, Saquon was sort of hobbling. And AJ Brown, was given an illegal hip drop tackle in the game, and that was not called or penalized. But yeah, the Eagles look good, and they shut out the Steelers in the second half. And yeah, they only gave the Steelers 2 possessions. Like, how are you going to win in the second half if you only have 2 possessions? And the final drive of the game being, they had 10 minutes and 39 seconds when they took control of the ball at the fourth quarter, and the Steelers never saw the ball again. So yeah.
No George Pickens for the Steelers. This was an easy win for the Eagles. I mean, he's their big playmaker for the Steelers. Without him, they really were going to have a chance to generate a whole lot of offense. I mean, the Eagles defense is just really good. I'm not an expert in this by any means, but right now you are sitting at the number 2 seed, Jimmy, obviously just because you have a win and the Vikings haven't played yet. But even if the Vikings win tonight, you should still be the number 2 seed based on tiebreakers. So the really only team that you need to catch is the Lions.
No, you got to understand, because the Vikings, if they win out and we win out, the Vikings have the tiebreaker of strength of schedule. They have like
You have more. You are undefeated in the division and have a better conference record than them.
yeah, but I think it's like against common opponents. That's the record, like record against common opponent or something like that. Trust me, the Vikings have to lose once and the Eagles, the Lions have to lose another time. That's what I've been hearing all week. And
well, you currently beat them in strength of schedule too, just so you know.
Yeah, but if they win out,
okay,
and like if they win out and we win out, then they get the number 1 seed. So.
I trust you to know your team. I was trying to give you a little reassurance.
Yeah, I wish I could hear it, but
I was thinking at it in the aspect of like, because the Lions and the Vikings are both in the same division. Like, how did that play into it versus you being in the East? And we can break that a little bit more down as we get that a little more.
Lions and Vikings play each other one more time?
Yes, they do play each other one more time. And
so you're golden then.
Well, one will get a loss. Obviously somebody will lose that game, but same thing. If like the Lions win that game or the Minnesota wins that game and they win the rest of their games, we don't get the number 1 seed. Like we don't get the number 1 seed unless both Minnesota and Detroit lose another game. Both lose another game.
Oh, Vikings schedule is pretty not good. So they are very likely
to happen. I'm not saying it's not going to happen.
Vikings are likely to lose one more. Lions maybe not so much, but Vikings are likely to lose one. Well, but the Lions are so hurt now, so maybe.
Yeah, who knows? But
yeah.
Yes.
Vikings have Seahawks, Bears tonight, obviously, and then Seahawks, Packers, Lions. Seahawks, Packers are not guaranteed wins, especially for the Vikings. Lions have Bears, which, I don't know. Weird things happen. Then they play the 49ers, who they're just going to absolutely eat for lunch, and then they play the Vikings.
Yeah. I mean, the Eagles have the Commanders this week, which, the Commanders are fighting for trying to get the division. We're playing for the second time. We're playing in Washington, so that's probably not going to be an easy game for the Eagles. But then after that, we have Dallas, New York, and so my hopes is just at least to have clinched the second seed enough for that Week 18 to where, if we're not going to get the 1 seed and we've clinched the second seed by Week 18, like to be able to rest.
Yeah,
your unofficial bye week.
Yeah, that's where I'm sort of leaning towards. So.
Well, that honestly wouldn't be bad. It's still a week off for the starters.
Yeah.
I think with that, we have just one game left. It was the Sunday night football game. The Packers going to Seattle to play the Seahawks. I just have a big old lull for this game because Seattle thought they deserved a spot at the big boy table. Well, Jordan Love had a little bit to say about that. It was a commanding win. Green Bay honestly looked like they barely broke a sweat, and that was even before Geno's leg injury. So Seattle, welcome back to the bottom of the barrel with us and the Cardinals. The Rams basically are going to get this division. The Rams are hot at the right moment, kind of like your Eagles are. So in the end, we left the Rams for dead, and now they're about to win the division. So, and congrats, Green Bay. You're about to clinch a wild card too. So, along with the Vikings. So, this game kind of sucked, but it's what it is.
I mean, Packers, they were everybody's love darling. Probably they were like one of the popular sexy bets at the beginning of the season, and they're proving why at the end of the season here, why they were one of those teams that people wanted to bet on to make it to the Super Bowl. And if we're looking at history,
I was preaching that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, if we're looking at history, the team that's going to the Super Bowl is not going to be the Lions. It's not going to be the Eagles. It could be the Commies. Well, not the Commies because a rookie quarterback has never made it. But Jordan Love, second year as a starter, third year as a starter, I forget. But, I mean, he's never been to the Super Bowl. Baker Mayfield's never been to the Super Bowl. So, if we look at history and realize that the last 25 quarterbacks that have lost their first Super Bowl haven't made it, Packers, Bucks are one of those teams that, could if we just watch history.
I didn't realize it until they talked about it on the NBC broadcast, but the Packers have actually been really, really good this season. Their 4 losses are to the Eagles, Vikings, and the Lions twice. They've kicked the crap out of everybody else that they've played this season, and have won all their other games. So, I mean, they're doing really, really well. I didn't realize that they had played so well this season. So shout out to them. And as good as they've
Matt
been,
LaFleur, baby.
Yeah, I mean, their defense is really solid. They've got a lot of young stars on offense. And Love spreads the ball around. He gets a little bit sloppy with it sometimes, but that team's going to go as far as Love takes them.
Yeah, like James was saying, I was preaching when we were doing our pools earlier, or not our pools, our guesses for who's going to win the division. I was the one preaching the loudest, like,
yeah,
don't assume that Love is going to have a sophomore slump. Like, he looked like he deserved that contract. Like, as much as it pained me to say it, like, and now look at them. They're about to clinch their wild card spot.
Well,
and they deserve it.
If they truly are the Packers, Love will be the quarterback for 20 years and they'll only have 1 Super Bowl. That's if the Packers are like really being the Packers. So
true.
That would be wild if they had like 3 quarterbacks in my lifetime.
Like, could you imagine if they had 3 generational quarterbacks, like 60 years of generational quarterbacks and only 3 Super Bowls? Could you imagine that? Like, just
that would be astounding.
That would be incredibly embarrassing. But speaking of embarrassing, I don't mind only having a little bit of time to talk about this because
this game. This game sucked.
It pains me so. It pains me so. We lost to the Rams, who deserve to call themselves Big Brother. Frankly, that's what they were saying after the game, that they feel like Big Brother now. Kind of are. It was objectively, it was a terrible game, just from a consumer standpoint. It was 12-6, and it rained literally the entire first half. And then the second half, honestly, wasn't much better, even without the rain. Is even worth going through the nerdy numbers. Purdy had a terrible. That pick is what cost us the game. If we want to really boil it down, this pick cost us the game. 45 quarterback rating. Stafford, 76 quarterback rating. Only 160 passing yards. Jesus Christ. No touchdowns or picks. Kyron Williams led the way for their rushing attack. Isaac Rindo, honestly, like, wasn't terrible, but definitely, like, when you're on your 4th string running back, this is what we got. I can't be too mad that he had 57 yards when really he should have been on the practice squad if we were healthy. Nakua, he broke off a 51-yard catch, and that's why he only had 97 passing yards, because look at everybody else. Kittle, we just fed the ball to him, and everybody was like under 30 yards except Juwan Jennings, technically. And, I mean, again, it's not really worth going through the numbers otherwise, because there really was no numbers other than this was a puntorama the entire first half. There was like 8 total punts, and then the 2 kicks, one from Moody and one from not Gay's with the Colts. I forget who the Colts or the Rams kicker is, but it doesn't matter.
But you didn't talk about all the good things that Debo did. I mean, he came out this past week and said that he wasn't the problem and that all they needed to do was just feed him the ball and all these good things were going to happen. You didn't talk about those things. Why did you leave those things out, Dan?
Oh, funny thing you brought that up. Maybe because he turned all his touches into 2 rushes for 3 yards and then 7 targets. 2 of them were outright the worst time drops you could have asked for. But yeah, the 3 he did catch only turned into 16 yards. So,
so you mean all that talking that he did about that he just needed to see the ball more and that he was going to be a big factor in the game, and he produced 19 yards on 5 touches when they fed him the ball at least 9 times?
Yeah, who'd thunk it? That
I would just like to shout out the degenerate gambler who bet $100 on 181 that there was going to be no touchdowns in this game.
Shout out to that dude. What, he won like
Shout out to
$100 grand?
that dude, like, dude, man, he's sitting on $18,000 because he had the wherewithal to say there's going to be no touchdowns in this game. It's like I didn't look at the history of how often that bet actually pays off because it's the NFL. Somebody scores a touchdown in the whole game. But that shows you like how bad it was to watch this game, because unless you had some betting or rooting interest in this game, like you probably didn't come out happy if you weren't a Rams fan.
I did get one moment of levity though, because my heart was already broken a month ago when we lost to Seattle. So this is just a formality now. But I did get a big chuckle out of the cameraman looking at the incorrect player when they were trying to identify Trent Williams in the first half.
Yeah, that was hilarious because they put him on the screen and I was like, I don't think that's Trent.
Oh, I immediately took a picture of it and sent it to you guys. I'm like, that's definitely not Trent, guys.
Yeah, and I looked at him again and I was like, I'm real positive that's not Trent.
Look, he really let himself go.
I was like, that seems strange. I was like, I'm just real positive that's not Trent. But yeah.
Oh, by the following commercial break, like 5 minutes later, it was all over my blue sky. It was so funny.
Yeah. I mean, this game was just a disaster. I mean, it rained. So I mean, look what happened. Purdy can't play in water. I mean, that's how I'm going to phrase it, because either rain nor snow, he can't play. So he's
not the postman.
No, he is not the postman. So it's a real problem. And I think it's going to cost him some money, to be honest with you. I mean, I wouldn't pay him $60 million a year. I would still re-sign him. I wouldn't let him go. I think he's proven that he plays well enough as long as there's no water. But I mean, I think 40, 45 would be what I would want to pay him. They'll probably end up having to pay him 50 because that's kind of like the entry level tier for a quarterback at this point in time. But I'm not giving him $60 million. He's not.
It's just not the way the NFL works, though.
Here's my agent hat. Are you willing to pay my client less than Tua? Because Tua is $53 million. If you come at me with an offer that's less money than Tua, we're demanding a trade.
Yeah,
and James is right. That's how that's going to work.
That's fine.
I'm just telling you right now. He'll when Purdy signs, he will be the highest paid quarterback. It's just how.
No.
Yeah, this is how the NFL goes. It doesn't matter.
No,
it'll be roughly 60 million. I'm certain.
I am certain, because just the way the NFL goes, just the way agents are, you're not going to sit here and tell me that Brock Purdy should be paid less than Trevor Lawrence or Tua. You're just not. As an agent, you're going to advocate for your client. You're going to tell the team, you cannot pay me less than Tua. Purdy's been to a Super Bowl. You can't pay him less than Trevor Lawrence. Lawrence has only won one playoff game.
Well, remember the most important numbers in this. The AAV is really not what's important. It's the guarantees that are important. So if that's what you're pulling up, Eric, we need to hear the guarantees, because the AAV really doesn't matter except for bragging points.
I was trying to find that.
But it's just not how. It's just
he deserves.
It's not that I.
Well, the most guaranteed money is Deshaun Watson.
Okay, behind Deshaun Watson.
The thing about it, Eric, don't take this the wrong way. I agree with you that he shouldn't. I agree with you that he shouldn't command, that type of money, given the fact that, like we've said, he can't play in rain, he can't play in snow, whatever. But that is just simply not how what we see happen. Teams are always willing to overpay for the quarterback, even if he's even mediocre. No. And that's just.
I swear, Eric, you've told me before too that the market is the market. Like when I was talking numbers before, and I agree. I don't know, maybe I'm fanboying a little bit, but I'd be pissed for him if it was less than 52 personally. But I mean, 60, that would be because of the market.
So guaranteed money is Deshaun at 230, which is just stupid. And
yeah,
then
he's not getting that.
Burrow at 146, Lawrence at 142, Lamar at 135, Herbert at 133, Prescott at 129, Goff at 113, Hurts at 110.
How at whatever the AAV they mask over that number is what's ultimately going to be more important.
The AAV, Burrow, so Dak is 60, and then everybody else falls into a pile between 51 and 55.
Where's Trevor Lawrence on guaranteed money? Again, say that again.
Lawrence is 142 and 55 a year.
I remember his contract was actually pretty team friendly because like the guarantees basically stop in 27.
I will accept that they're going to pay him between 50 and 55 million. They are not paying him over 60. There's no way.
Yeah.
No way.
Well, it's again like, well, now it's the argument of like, well, I'm better. He's better than Prescott. I think all three of us agree that he is better than Prescott.
Yeah, I mean, he's better than Prescott. He's been to more Super Bowls than Prescott has. You know, Purdy's won 2 divisional round games. Dak has not.
No.
Dak has not. I mean, I'm just saying, like, we see how the league goes. We just see how.
I know. Yeah,
and I agree with you, Eric. Like, me as a GM, I wouldn't want to pay him $60 million, but I mean, 60 AAV. You know, I mean, the guaranteed money will be it, but I wouldn't be surprised if he came back with 60.5 AAV or 61 AAV. It wouldn't surprise me.
No.
It could be 60 AAV, but then when you actually see the guarantees, because I've studied to death. We don't have a lot of time to go over all of it, but like I've studied to death how they prorate the signing bonus, and then they've gotten in a habit now of doing like 2 or even 3 option bonuses that aren't guaranteed until a certain day. Which, I mean, they're not hard milestones if he is a franchise quarterback, but they set themselves up in a way that like it looks beautiful on the outside. But the Niners get away with making these contracts that do have more than one opt-out hole, like on the off chance they do want to get out of it. Because let's remember, too, like 90% of these big boy contracts don't actually get fully paid out, too.
That's true. I mean, I guess the other thing to keep in mind, too, is like we talk a lot about the fact that they have to like sign him to a new contract and all that stuff. He does still technically have 1 more year. So, I mean,
he's not playing on $900K.
Well, I mean, if push comes to shove,
if
push comes to shove, and then they can franchise tag him after that.
Dude,
John Lynch will not do that guy dirty like that.
Like,
well, I wouldn't think so, but I'm just saying. I mean, if it comes down to it,
I wouldn't be surprised if there's a holdout because we know John just loves holdouts.
He won't hold out
unless your name is Diamador Lenore.
Yeah, but I mean, John Lynch loves holdouts, and I mean, Purdy's going to command a lot, and if
they won't let him hold out, they'll sign him before camp starts. They won't let him hold out.
Yeah,
that would be such a colossal failure.
There is a world where John botches this and gets a holdout, but I agree with you. I think they will sign him before camp.
Frankly, they might be agreeing. They might be agreeing on it right now during these last 3 weeks, where we know these are it.
Yeah,
and then they just can't legally sign it until January 10th or whatever the tampering before March 15th is.
Yeah, but I just like there is a small world where we end up with a Purdy holdout in training camp, but I agree. I think John will most likely sign him before that, but there's a small chance.
Yeah.
I mean, if you want to say that Purdy gets slotted in between Dak and Joe Burrow, I guess in between, so Burrow's 55 and Dak is 60, and you want to slot Purdy in between there and average value, I guess, fine. But I'm not paying him any more than that. There's no way.
As an agent, I would absolutely not let him get any less than AAV than Dak Prescott. I'm sorry. Like as an agent, I'm just saying, like as an agent with the way the league goes and that, like he's better than Dak Prescott, John. You know that.
Dak Prescott for
I will tell you that Jerry Jones is a crackhead, and that the only reason that Dak Prescott got $60 million a year is because Jerry Jones smokes crack, and I am not paying him that much money. He can have somewhere between 55 and 60, and that's it.
Well, Dak Prescott for quarterback pay is what Christian Kirk was for wide receiver pay 5 years ago.
Yeah.
I think for a last note on this, since we're close on time, I don't want to personally waste too much time on it because the team is not wasting time on it. The Devondre Campbell situation, I'm willing to hard swear for the first time on the show. Fuck this guy. That was the most selfish, ridiculous thing. And that's what else can be said about him that wasn't already said. Just, I'm glad we suspended him instead of cutting him. I think that kind of little extra salt on the wound is merited versus letting him potentially sign with the Lions. And have good luck trying to get signed for anything, even the minimum next year. So way to be a team player, Dick.
Yeah.
I don't know. Do you guys want to add on to that?
I mean, I like the fact that the couple of 49ers that spoke on it didn't really mince words. A lot of times guys come out and they're like, well, I don't really know the situation and I haven't talked to Devondre yet. I have to see what's going on, blah, blah, blah. I mean, nope. Kittle was very demonstrative. And he was like, if I was on the sidelines, I would have had a talk with him. He's like, we can't have that on our sidelines. You can't have guys quitting. Charvarius Ward was like, that guy's going to get cut. I mean, he was very demonstrative about it as well. So, I mean, I think, big shout out to 49ers leadership from a team perspective to just say they weren't going to have any of that as well.
Okay. And I just remember this before we end the show, Eric's got to open his 1-year anniversary gift.
Oh, yes. Yeah. Let me go get that. Oh, and I do want to say one positive thing about the game. We didn't have any real thing positive to say about the game. Greenlaw looked really, really good.
Yes. Amen to that. He did look really, really good.
So while you guys are running all the sponsorship stuff, let me go get that thing.
Yes. Okay. I am going to try to pull that up. I don't know why I am having a hell of a time. Well, it doesn't look like Royal Retros. It is your go-to place to get yourself an authentic throwback jersey. Whoa. Well, you know what? I don't have the graphic, but I do have this. So let's just play this. Well, it is Royal Retros. It is your go-to place to get yourself an authentic throwback jersey, whether you're a football fan like us or a fan of any other major sport, they got you covered. Basketball, baseball, hockey, what have you. Go ahead and check out the Candlestick Park Collection 2. It is still there. I went there to verify. And it's curated with the Bay Area in mind, and all the stuff is wonderful there. When you find something you like, use the promo code Shady Sports at checkout, and it'll get you 10% off of the entire order, not just one item. Again, it's promo code Shady Sports to get 10% off of your entire order off RoyalRetros.com. Again, RoyalRetros.com. Go get yourself an authentic jersey today and use our promo. That was not weird at all, was it?
What? How did that happen?
No, there he is. I guess I'll just hijack what you usually say because I can't pull up the photos for some reason, and I don't know why. But guys, we do have shirts at bonfire.com. It's under Niner Nation, or not Niner Nation, Niner Nuts. We were inspired to create t-shirts to sell, but all the proceeds for the shirts are going to go to Mountain Comprehensive Care Center. It is a women's shelter, and they help women who have survived domestic issues. And it was inspired by us seeing that owners do not have the same accountability as players. So we started this hashtag, owner accountability, also owner standards over player standards. We have t-shirts with these things on it. We also have t-shirts with our cover art on it. I can't show you them right now because I don't know why, but go to our Bonfire store. It is in the show notes. And yeah, all the proceeds from the shirts go to Mountain Comprehensive Care Center. Eric, we are in overtime. Do you already have your gift open?
No, I wanted to open it live. I did dox myself when I put it on the screen, though, so hopefully no one pauses the video to try to grab my. I hope Debo isn't like, I'm gonna get that dirty son of a bitch, and pauses my address. And
yes, thank you for telling me that. I will censor that while I edit.
John Litz is gonna find your address and send you a job notice to be the cap guy, so he can.
Oh, that would be great.
So he can, so you could tell Brock Purdy that he's not getting $60 million.
It's an absolute dream of mine to work for the 49ers organization, actually. So I hope someday that does happen. So But that requires moving to California, which has its own issues and problems. So I am opening this right now. So
Okay, yeah.
do you want me to open it higher like this?
Yeah,
or-
yeah, right there is fine.
All right. Oh, it's an envelope in an envelope.
Yes.
Let's see what's up higher.
The
This is very
suspense.
nice of you guys, though. By the way, thank you.
Yeah.
No, of
One
course.
year. Yeah.
Oh, look at that! A Drake Greenlaw card. Awesome, man.
See the number on it?
Oh, number 250.
No.
What?
On the front.
Oh,
The serial number.
my eyes are terrible. Oh, is it like 3 of 10?
3 of 10. Yeah.
Oh, super dope.
Hell yeah,
Thank
dude.
you. That's
No,
so cool.
You've been with us for a year, and it's been awesome. And James came up with the idea, and I was like, absolutely. What do I need to chip in on it? And yeah,
Thank you. That's really awesome. I'll put it over on my little collectible spot over here with all my other stuff. I'll set it up over there. Thank you guys very much. That's really awesome.
Yeah.
of course, dude.
Of course.
That's
So-
great. Thank you guys. I mean, this has been, I can't believe that it's been a year already, to be honest. It doesn't feel like it's been a year. Time has certainly flown. I mean, I look forward to this every single week, and this is so much fun. And this is honestly just a highlight for me. I mean, I don't pay any attention to the statistics and all that stuff. I mean, I know we're a very small podcast, and I know that we have, not a ton of listeners and stuff, but I do this just for the fun of doing this with you guys, and whoever else listens. Thank you very much for all of your support, tolerating me for the last year, and being a part of the show. And I just enjoy this tons and tons every week.
Yeah.
We do too, dude. It's been a blast.
Yeah.
So with that, we will do a Friday show this week because we don't have a Thursday game, and we will have a parlay that is actually worth placing because that was another reason our parlay options were terrible when we ran the tape.
Yeah.
So we need to get out of here. We're playing Sunday, I think at 4:30 against Miami. We'll rehash that later. James,
Outro music, River Road, Justin Youth.
catch y'all on Friday. Beat the Dolphins.
River Road, you got me running way back home. River Road, you got me running all night long. You got me singing some canal boat song. River Road, you got me running all night long. River Road, where have all the women gone? Have they kissed her hand and waved you bye-bye? Have they thought about crossing your double yellow lines? River Road,